So I'm going to be going over the different holds and carrying positions of the kettlebell for phase 2 of anthroapproach training. So we've got our 18-pound competition bell here. You can also use a regular kettlebell. What we're going to do is cover each position and go over a flow for shoulder mobility and competency with the kettlebell. So how to handle it is really important as you start to get heavier with your kettlebells or move forward in the training. So the first one here is the suitcase carry. I have it down by my side. My grip is tight. I'm not letting it hang like this or anywhere like that. I want the heel of my hand touching the handle. And then what we'll notice is I've got the handle facing front to back, and I'm also not going to let it crunch the side of my abdomen here. I'm going to elongate through these 2 points so that I'm an even rectangle from hips and shoulders. If they were dots, you'd connect a rectangle that was not distorted in any way. So think of yourself like a cereal box through here. Don't let it crunch. We're going to hold there until we feel the grip start to wane, and we'll switch sides and try the other side. Use a mirror to see if the rectangle's intact or a video. From this position, you can also walk around the house, keeping your rectangle and your grip tight. When you're walking around, you feel like any of that, if posture is lost or grip is lost, switch sides and go back and forth. And you can do that with all of these holds and carry positions. So suitcase carry rectangle hold will come up with a curl into front rack position. Now front rack position is arm all the way adducted to the body, so elbow like a chicken wing pulled into the rib cage, shoulder nice and relaxed, and then we're having the heel of our hands kind of coming to our clavicle, and the weight itself is resting on the meat here. And sometimes it can be uncomfortable, but you'll develop more strength with it, and it will feel more and more comfortable over time. So one thing that's really easy to see here happen is the break of the wrist there. So we want to pull the knuckles in line with the wrist, in line with the elbow, and get a nice strong hold. Goal in front rack is to have this perpendicular with the floor. So I don't want to be here or here. I want to be straight up and down with the midline of the body. Rectangle still intact here. We don't want to crunch or overcompensate to hold it up. We want to keep that rectangle hold here. And imagine if someone's trying to pull the kettlebell away from you, you're pulling it to your chest. From the side, it looks like this. And from the front, it looks like this. So you can switch sides once your grip tires or the strength wanes, and we can walk around like this until we feel any postural loss or grip loss. Also, we don't want to see any hyperextension in the low back. You want to be nice and long, ear, shoulder, hip, knee, ankle, all in one straight line with most of these, and walking around keeping this kettlebell tight. Once you've done that with both sides, we'll go from front rack into the shoulder carry. So this one's important and kind of awkward. You're just lifting your elbow from front rack until it nestles softly into the nook of the shoulder, in between the ear and the shoulder. From the side, it looks like this. From the front, other side, and back. I don't want it too far back like this. I want to snug it up. I want to feel the bulb of the kettlebell touch that notch behind the ear, and I want to feel the top of my shoulder snugging it inward and adducting it to the midline. Again, not crunching or distorting the box, nice and steady. This one should be the easiest. It might be a little uncomfortable up here, but play around with little tiny adjustments until you feel like it sets really naturally. You can also grab with the other hand, and you can hold like this for extra safety, especially if you have too much weight or you're just getting comfortable walking around. So hold here, walk around, test it out, make sure it feels comfortable. To come out of this, we just let that kettlebell roll down the shoulder and nestle right here. We're back to front rack carry. So go back and forth is a great drill, trying to keep a good grip so that the kettlebell doesn't swing and hit you in the head. Squeeze hard enough to keep it from moving, and go very, very slow back and forth. Use your other hand to aid if you need to until you find a good position. So once you've carried that on both sides, you've gone over front rack. So suitcase, front rack, shoulder rack, and back and forth. So that's one flow you can do. We'll put everything together at the end though. Back and forth. So that is front rack, suitcase, and shoulder carry. Next up from front rack, we're gonna press into overhead press, overhead carry. So press up. You want good room here, nice and long, straight. You want to basically have ear, shoulder, hip, knee, ankle all in one straight line, and then hide your ear with the inside of the arm. A little bend in the shoulders, okay. If straightening it all the way gives you any pinching, or you have to do this to get the elbows straight, you can always have a little bend. You're just going to have less time able to hold it because it'll tire out pretty quick. Should feel some serratus through here. Don't want to feel the low back compensating like this. You want to keep the pelvis tucked a little and long through everything. So you can go from front rack and just press till you get comfortable, or you can do front rack, press, and hold stationary. You'll feel your shoulder reorganizing often, so it's a great balance and coordination drill while keeping good grip. Make sure your wrist doesn't break at the top either. Keep that good stack of knuckles, wrist, and elbow. So you'll do that both sides. Again, you can do presses, holds, and then when you feel safe, you can kind of walk a few steps forward, a few steps back, left, right, and you'll notice that the shoulder has to restabilize, reorganize each time. So get comfortable with that. When you're tired, make sure you come down slow. It's very important. Imagine you're pulling that kettlebell down, so eccentrically lowering nice and steady. When handling a kettlebell, you're not finished with your repetition until the kettlebell is back safely on the ground. So don't come up and just set that thing down really fast. Make sure you stop before you're 90% gassed so you have enough gas in the tank to pull it down with control, lower with control, hip hinge, set it down with control. So make sure you're being very, you can always move the kettlebell with intent and safety. So that is the 4 major positions. The last one, we'll go from here and we'll go into a bottoms up. The wrist knuckle relationship will go a little more like this, but not too much, and not too much this way. You want a pretty good stack here still pulling the inside arm to the rib cage and holding that kettlebell with good posture. So here, you can also add a hand to help, and you should always help with the hand if it feels unsafe. And if it does feel like it's gonna fling this way, squeeze really hard to slow down so it doesn't crash into your wrist. And if you're wearing a smartwatch or anything with a screen or jewelry you don't want to scratch, take it off or flip it to the inside of the wrist. So that is the bottoms up carry. This one's harder to walk around with. Very much encouraged though. Keep your rectangle. Also, you can walk around with a little bit of aid from the arm as well. Just be very careful not to let it crash in. Use your grip if it does start to slip. And if it does start to slip, you can also catch it. So be safer than sorry. And that's the bottoms up carry. You would want to carry that and hold those until you can get longer and longer time spent with it bottoms up and without it falling over or needing help from your other hand. So let's go over the full flow for each side. Suitcase, hold for a while. Slow curl into front rack. Slow shift into shoulder carry. Back down to front rack. Press up. You can do a hold here. You can walk around through all of these too, but this is a stationary version. Back down, nice, slow, controlled. Attach the chicken wing again to the rib cage. Come down, and we can go up, shoulder, down, press, press. You can put another shoulder rack in there, down, suitcase. It's a great workout. Keep rigidity through here. Good core work. It's not just a bicep curl and an overhead press. It's good core stabilization. And repeat. So try the flow just to get competent and comfortable with all the different positions. Now the bottoms up is not included in that flow, so you can do those separately. Or find a way to work it in, explore, but get really comfortable with those holds, carries, and positions, and we'll see you next time for more training.